Hello, and welcome to another episode of Industrial Strength Podcast, a podcast more focused on industrial fire departments and industrial hazmat responses. Again, my name is Jeff, hazmat technician with over 20 years in the fire department service, with 10 being in the industrial side. With me once again, our Tweedledee and Tweedle, we'll go somebody, Steve and Randy.
I guess I must be Tweedledum, so.
I didn't say it.
I'm Steve, a hazmat technician with over 3 years of experience on an industrial ERT team and over a decade of experience in the manufacturing industry.
My name is Randy, hazmat specialist, 17 years on the industrial fire department, starting out and mainly doing hazmat. So, what are you talking about, Jeff?
Well, this would be the third and final part of our peroxide-forming chemicals. Oh. It is sure to be a blast.
Pun intended, I love
you. In parts 1 and 2, we did cover an overview of what the peroxide-forming chemicals are, the different chemical classes for the peroxide formers, and the hazards associated with the peroxide solids, and how to recognize and test for those. Now, in part 3, we're going to be doing some review of some case studies which highlight the dangers associated with the peroxides and the solids.
Yeah, this is the much more fun episode of the 3.
That's right. So, our first case study that we're going to be talking about was from back in 2001 in Evadale, Texas, where a peroxide bleaching stage at a paper mill exploded. Shocker. It ended up rupturing 2 bleaching towers, destroying a pump and propelling fragments over 800 yards in all different directions. Now, typically, hydrogen peroxide is used in paper mills to bleach the paper and the pulp used to make the paper, and then remove any stains and dyes from that material. It's also used to whiten and brighten other cellulose-based products in various industries. And while there were no fatalities in this particular incident, unfortunately, 2 workers in the mill were injured during this.
That's a pretty wide distance, 800 yards.
I was just doing the calculations. 800 yards is a half a mile.
Yeah. I can't believe it was just 2 people and only injured.
Yeah. I gotta wonder if maybe it was whatever the things that ruptured the towers weren't really confined in the building, right? So it was just kind of could pop on its own and throw stuff as far as it could. But can you imagine if that were in a building? How it would
oh my gosh. I don't think there's anything left standing on that.
No, agreed.
Yeah. So after conducting an investigation and experimentation, they actually found that when the hydrogen peroxide is mixed with caustic soda, an auto-accelerating reaction can lead to generation of significant amounts of heat and oxygen both, which I think we all know heat and oxygen don't necessarily go too well when you're dealing with chemical reactions.
Right. Well, we talked about in the first 2 episodes that those are things that can catalyze the formation of peroxides for sure, right? And set them off and set off those explosions. So you're right.
Yep.
Now, experiments using typical pulp mill processes, concentration and temperatures like those found at that Texas facility during the accident helped to develop a relatively simple kinetic model for this. The evaluation of this model and results revealed that the hydrogen peroxide caustic soda systems are extremely sensitive to the ratio of hydrogen peroxide and caustic soda used. And, well, usually, but sometimes you never know. You want to test the bounds.
Just accidentally.
Yeah. It's how we prove new processes around some facilities.
Yes. If it can't go wrong, it will go wrong.
Now, any transition metal contamination during this process and temperature range of the process will also be very critical in that factor. Small changes in the initial conditions can result in a closed system becoming very explosive, just due to pressure increases from the oxygen generated during that process.
Yeah. Right. So my guess is probably generated so much oxygen, right? So much headspace pressure that the relief venting they have wasn't appropriate. Right. And I know that sometimes when you do that process safety looking at, especially in industrial facilities, you get engineering involved, PSM, they start looking at those calculations, gas generation, and what's your venting capacity for something like this. But sometimes,
if your formulations aren't quite right, it can add a lot more of one substance. In this case, probably the oxygen.
Right. And that's very true. I also think probably that when they were designing the venting on this reaction that they stumbled across the hard way, they didn't even think about, right? They didn't realize there's a cross sensitivity and a potential hazard the way it was. So they only evaluate the reactions they know, not the reactions they don't, which is the downside of this. They can't plan for the unknown.
So, yeah, we do have another case study.
Yeah. So how about I'll jump on this one? So we had another case study that we wanted to cover. This one back from 2006. So in 2006, this one's a little bit more famous. People may have heard of this one, but in 2006, there was an undergrad student. They were a researcher at UC Berkeley in California. They were working on their laboratory benchtop when there was a piece of equipment that she was using exploded. It sent glass fragments into her face and upper body. The researcher was using a rotary evaporator. In the labs, it's typically called like a rotovap to remove organic solvents, so distill it off from an azobenzene precipitate, which to me, azo, anytime you hear azo is a problem because azo means it contains nitrogens and multiple bonds, 2 or 3. And that's a problem because nitrogens are a very energetic group in chemistry, right? So it has a potential for booms. Yeah, you're azo all the way, baby. Very energetic.
I said us, by the way.
But maybe that's going to be your new nickname. I'm just going to introduce you the next set of rounds is Azo. That's what you are.
I'm not quite sure which one of the rest of us he was referring to as us.
Jeff gets to be Azo.
He's a plural.
Yes.
Assholes.
Yeah, you're assholes. Me and my assholes.
Nobody wants to hear about just assholes, all right?
Okay, we'll move on. So what happened was she was using this rotovap to remove some solvent from this kind of reactive, energetic chemistry. And she wound up adjusting the bottom flask on this rotary evaporator. And then when she moved it, the motion actually is what set off the explosion. And it sent the glass shards to her face. Luckily, she's wearing safety goggles at the time, so it hit the glasses, but still left cuts and glass in her forehead, which obviously, safety goggles aren't going to cover your forehead. Lab personnel in the immediate area, they were able to help her to safety shower, rinse off the chemicals that got splashed on her, and they called 911, which is great. And then she got taken by ambulance to the hospital, where she received stitches above her eyes and other treatment for that glass shard injuries. She was released from the hospital same day, so thankfully, it wasn't super serious. But this is one of the things where we actually have a photo. Unlike the first case study, the second case study, we have a photo. So what we see there is a rotary evaporator. So you have a bowl, and the bowl typically is going to contain water. It's going to be a heating bath used to heat your chemical du jour. So this is the azobenzene. And then you got this smaller dark glass bulb, which is like a kind of a reflux condenser. And then you have the receiving vessel, which is what you still see the yellow liquid in on the left. But so when you grab that L-shaped handle, or reversed L-shaped handle, you can raise and lower all the glassware. And when she lowered it, that's when it set off that explosion. And which, once again, all very common things if you've ever used this rotary evaporator. So not a very uncommon thing. So they kind of did an investigation on this to try and figure out what had happened, what went wrong, because this was a shock to everybody. Pun intended, I guess, on peroxides. So they did an investigation, and while they couldn't definitively say for sure what it was, they said the most likely cause for the explosion was that there was actually peroxide contaminants in the solvents that had been concentrated to the point of being unstable. So In that solvent mixture they were stripping off, they had both THF and diethyl ether that was used in the reaction. And if you remember from our first 2 episodes, both of those are peroxide-forming chemicals. So THF and diethyl ether are both Class B peroxide formers. So they have the potential to create peroxides on distillation. And so that's what they think happened. So both the THF and diethyl ether, while being distilled off, left behind some peroxides, which then crystallized, and then with the heat and the movement, set off to form an explosive. So, and so once again, like we said in the first 2 episodes, peroxide formation with evaporation with THF and diethyl ether is likely to occur during concentration or evaporation events. So using them in a rotary evaporator, you got to be careful what you're doing, that you don't leave behind those peroxides. Because we also said in those first 2 episodes, concentrations above like 80 parts per million can be explosive. So in this case, that THF that they used didn't contain a stabilizer, right? We talked about that a little bit too, right? Stabilized versus unstabilized. And so they used an unstabilized THF, so that has the ability to grow the peroxides more readily. And they use a stabilizer like BHT to slow the rate of peroxide or prevent peroxide formation in chemicals, especially during these distillations. So unfortunately, they chose the wrong solvent, an uninhibited THF, which really led to their problem. So what they were able to do is they found that bottle of THF that she had used, and they later analyzed it. They were able to draw a sample, and they found that it contained peroxides in excess of that 100 milligrams per liter, which is equivalent to 100 parts per million, right? So above our 80 part per million threshold for danger. So they found their smoking gun, so to say, in the fact that the THF contained peroxides, and so by distilling it off, it probably formed those crystals that blew up. So, a bit of an issue, right? So definitely handling peroxides, you got to be careful what you're doing, because in this case, using that unstabilized THF and not checking that THF with a peroxide strip beforehand led to serious issues, right? So it led to that explosion. And unfortunately, she got hurt, the researcher, but fortunately, being released from the hospital the same day with a couple stitches must not have been too serious. And thankfully, she also had on that PPE to help her. So, like I said, this one's kind of maybe more publicized case study. So it was a decent one. So, but it's definitely one that goes to lab safety. So if anyone has laboratories on their site or in their facilities, this is something you definitely pay attention to, right? Pay attention to what you're distilling and whether it has the potential to form peroxides and whether those solvents are inhibited or not.
Also, which bowls you're using.
What's that?
Also, which bowls you're using.
That's true. Big bowls. Really big bowls anytime you're using peroxide formers.
We always tried to use the biggest in my experience, but...
We've got the biggest bowls of them all?
Yeah, that's it. Uh-oh. Oh, I can hear you. Well, it looks... Yeah, and I thought it was me. I'm like, oh, golly. Well, that's super, super weird. I'm like, dang it. I thought it was me again. You could have used that in another blooper reel. I was going to say, and right as soon as I hit reload, I heard you. I'm like, oh, motherfucker, Oh, I hear somebody. Randy? Oh, there's Randy. Oh, Randy left now? Well, friend, it's just you and I. Oh, I hear something. Wow, 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 wow. That's what I mean. I was looking at my internet service and I'm like, dang, mine's way up there. I shouldn't have an issue. It's the fucking Chinese. Canada, them fuckers. Ooh. This is a different stuff, and it's not bad. It's just a little bit spicier. Yeah. I got it when I was down in Kentucky before everything got flooded.
So,
oh, there's Steve.
Technician fired the best with no injuries in this.
Oh, he's quiet. It's not me this time either. Makes me so happy. We don't have any weather here. Well, cold, but Randy, I hear Randy. I don't see him yet. Is he still talking? Jeez. I still don't see Randy yet. I hate dead silence. Well, shit. It's been that kind of day. Well, I started when I got to work, and I'm like, motherfucker, I forgot my fucking computer at home. Oh, it's all good. So I want to be down in Dallas come Thursday night. We'll be down there until Sunday. Oh, there's one.
Hello.
Hello.
So me and Randy were having an episode by ourselves, apparently.
Oh, you don't see Steve?
I see him on the Instagram show, but
All right.
I can hear Bobby. Can you hear us?
Hello?
Hey, can you hear me?
Hello?
Hello?
I hear you.
You can hear me?
I hear you.
Okay. I could. So me and Randy could hear each other the whole time, and then you and Bobby kept cutting in and out, so we assumed that we were still recording, but we weren't sure.
So you two you two went red, just like that. No, you two fuckers went red first. And then Bobby and I are having a conversation by ourselves. God damn it. I can hear you, Bobby. Yeah, I can hear him. I hear him. Well, that's normal, but I hear everybody, including Bobby. But I don't see either of your two's pictures. I see Randy kicked out. Hey, Randy, stay in the closet or come out of the closet. Don't keep going back and forth. It's confusing to people. Huh, well, I've been put. No shit. Hear what? I don't see Randy, even on the screen. No, I cannot hear Randy. I hear you, Steve. Okay, I can hear him very, very quiet. Ooh, I can hear Randy now. He must be out of the closet again. But I don't see. Oh, there I see Steve now. Holy fuck! Seriously? I just saw everyone click in and then gone again. Steve's picture came up, froze, and then everything's gone again. There, I'll send them this so they don't believe that I can't see them. I can't hear them right now. I see Randy, but he's frozen. Oh my god, now he's gone. Oh, for fuck's sakes. So I can't see Steve's thing on there yet. Oh, there's Steve. Okay. Yep. He's going, holy shit. Fucking kids. Whose kids? Not yours kids. Oh, okay. I wouldn't say fucking kids, but I'm sure they're just as sarcastic as you. Well, how's your week been, Bobby? Besides your Tuesday at 8:30 show. Oh, did you? Oh, you're back out of the closet. Oh, for fuck's sake, he froze again. Holy shit. It's because I listen to Elon Musk and I have that Starlink. Yeah, I did here. Oh. That's odd. That's a first. See, I see Randy again, but he's frozen again. He's got it. What the fuck? They don't live too far from each other, maybe a couple miles. It is a possibility. Let me see what's going on. I can check the Facebook over there. 8:30. Oh shit. There isn't there. Oh, it's Oakland and Vanderbilt. There's an accident. I was actually very, very good. Yeah, there is an accident. Well, started at 8. Well, no, that would have been later or earlier. It was like a pretty shitty accident, but. If it's going to keep going in and out, I mean, we're going to have to scrap it. I can't. There was a. Oh, I know, but I know that we're not going to be there next week because. But it was starting out so freaking good. I had a bunch of fucking zings in there. I mean, if we could. I definitely don't want to lose the half that we did. But yeah, I don't see any reason that we can't get those two fucking yahoos on and. There's no way that they could be both on the same internet.
Try this.
Oh, you want to do a FaceTime, huh?
Well, hello.
I just fucking did answer, you dickhead.
No.
What is this?
That's so weird.
No, I didn't leave. I'm still on it.
I'm still here too.
I can hear. Hey, Jeff, tell Bob.
Oh, shit. Oh, what's that? Oh, Steve said he can hear you, but we can't. Yeah, that's probably through my phone. Or whatever, Steve. Knowles. All right, let's try her again. There he is. Well, welcome. It is the Jeff Show. Oh, wait. Bobby's there.
Jeff,
There's
it's not all about
unknown
you.
user. Is that you or the system?
Maybe it is.
Maybe it is
There's
all
Randy.
Okay.
Oh, fuck you. It's not all on me.
I'm back in.
You heard it's just me.
That's what she said.
That's what I thought. I'm like, oh, shit.
Nuh-uh. I always finish first.
Good enough.
There's a lot of feedback now.
Well, that's because, hang on, let me hang up my FaceTime with Randy.
Yeah, I hung out.
Fuck's sakes.
Okay, now is there a bunch of feedback?
No.
I don't think so.
Okay.
You're super loud, though, Steve.
That's what
Just
she
Steve,
said.
he's way hot. Yeah, that's right.
No, that's not what she
He's way
said.
hot.
Okay, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're going to be on case study 3.
I think we were just starting case study 3 if it broke for you the same time it did for us.
Okay. We can pick up at case study 3. Okay.
All right, so we have case study number 3. In 2017, there was a large explosion that occurred while a University of Minnesota environmental health and safety technician was processing an organic waste from a laboratory cleanout. That technician was in the process of combining flammable solvent waste into a bulking drum, a big gray tote, which is a standard practice for that facility. Upon the disposal of that empty glass bottle, upon disposal of an empty glass bottle, it tipped in the cart for recycling, and a large detonation occurred in that cart, kind of like a kabloom. Mm-hmm. That shockwave was a detonation, and that was large enough to rip the cart in half. I believe we may have a figure or a picture of that one.
And that's impressive considering there's no lid on that container.
No,
Yeah.
and those are pretty thick plastic.
Yeah, so the explosion was severe enough where it ripped that open top cart apart, which to me, it should have directed the blast up, not horizontally. So that was pretty impressive.
Right.
Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, was it just that cart that blew up?
No, I believe it blew the doors open. It caused damage to the adjacent rooms, shook the windows in the whole facility. That technician did survive the blast without any major injuries.
You know, that's very incredible to me considering the damage to that cart and all the glass shrapnel around, and that person was okay.
Oh yeah, that's amazing. I thank gosh that she's great.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I generalized. Thank goodness that person
That technician
did not get injured.
Yeah. Although it's interesting, when they said that the explosion is big enough to rattle windows, it reminded me of that Dieball incident we had, decades ago.
Mm-hmm.
Where,
I don't know what you're talking about.
the alleged thing that may or may not have occurred, that may or may not involve Dieball, once again, a little bit went a long way. It had a wide blast radius and, it rattled windows.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
With this one, after a thorough investigation, the most likely cause of that explosion It was determined to be that shock-sensitive residue from a peroxide-forming chemical, which was deposited inside that empty bottle. While in that solution, the shock-sensitive crystals were probably stabilized, but after that solvent was removed from that, and then that residual had dried, the detonation of that residual peroxide crystals was probably initiated by the friction when that bottle was discarded in that carton. Again, the case of that kabloomy.
Yeah. It seems
Friction
when
usually
crystal-
does cause explosions.
It can. That's right. That's well done, man. That's highbrow. I like it.
Well put.
Yeah, it seems like that's where the issues really come in. When it's not the crystals forming per se, but when they start to dry out, they become much more sensitive to any sort of outside energy. So, bad times. So yeah, how about I'll take this next one. I find it extremely interesting, and this is one of those things where case study number 4. This one occurred in 2012, and so this one actually came in through the ATF, which is interesting. It was the National Center for Explosives Training and Research Group. They reported on an incident where an individual who had a strong background in chemistry believed that they had discovered triacetone triperoxide, otherwise known as TATP.
Try saying that 3 times fast.
I'll just go TATP.
That sounds very familiar, but I'm used to hearing about it in improvised explosives.
You're right, and that is where a lot of news is on that, right? TATP is used quite a bit in improvised explosives because it's easy to get your hands on the components to manufacture, but the reason you hear about it is because so often it goes wrong. People trying to make it. And so it does not work out well for them. You don't hear it in the news because they successfully used it. It's because it was unsuccessfully used on the person making it.
Yep.
So, call came in that a guy with a strong chemistry background thought that he may have made TATP and that it formed in an old bottle of isopropyl alcohol, like rubbing alcohol. So kind of unusual because everyone's got rubbing alcohol around their house, right? And you think any kind of consumer goods that you can get, like out of whatever convenience store or health aid store, it's going to be relatively safe for you, right? Peroxide's 3%, rubbing alcohol, no big deal. But he's saying, hey, look, this rubbing alcohol I had, this bottle formed TATP, and so. That individual, he was using, the way he discovered this, he's using IPA as a topical analgesic. So he was using it as rubbing alcohol for his wife. But while he was using it on her, she was complaining that the IPA was burning her. Which to me, I'm like, wow. So probably not like, oh, it burns, I'm going to stop. It's probably a couple times, oh, yeah, sure, whatever. It's IPA, it's going to burn.
It's lubrication.
Right, yeah, exactly. So, but what happened was, so she was complaining that this thing was burning, way more than it probably should have. And so he started inspecting the bottle, and he noted that inside the bottle they had large crystals. And we have a photo of the crystals. So when you look at this image, those are large block crystals. I mean, impressively large. You're thinking rock candy solids.
Oh yeah.
And so this was what was in this dude's IPA rubbing alcohol bottle. And so he thought that the bottle, he wanted to know what the crystals were. So once again, he had a background in chemistry, and he was able to perform a melting point analysis in some of the crystals. Now, this is the part
somebody has a little too much time on their hands.
Well, this guy's got big bowls because I don't know if you know how a melting point works, but you put this shit in a tube and then you heat it up to see at what temperature it melts. Once again, any sort of explosive solid, you heat it up, there's a fair chance it's going to go off on you instead of melt.
Boom.
Wait, you've already said that there were big crystals in this. Now you're saying he's got big bowls.
Yeah, like I said, I would not have put this anywhere near a melting point apparatus. It seems like a terrible idea. But he was able to get a melting point on it, and it agreed with what the melting point for TATP should have been. And so that's when he called the ATF, said, hey, I think I got this thing. I'm self-reporting it because it seems like you want to be investigating this for a public awareness thing. And so the ATF say what now? So they kind of honed in, listened to his story. They got a group of explosive chemists together from the ATF, and they were consulted on this, right? They're like, hey, we got this guy, ... crazy story. The initial consensus from those scientists were that the reaction was not possible. Like, there's no way, man. Like, this guy's doing something else. He's not telling you. You know, there's something else going on. There's no way rubbing alcohol is going to make TATP, not like this. So, but what they did was they actually went and they showed up. They grabbed samples of everything. And upon further discussion and investigation, it honestly formed out of IPA. So a sample of the crystalline material was collected and analyzed in the lab, the ETF's lab, and it was pure TATP.
Oh, wow.
So this guy was very, very lucky that nothing went off on him, because that amount of TATP in that tiny bottle would have wrecked him and his wife and his house. It would have
Probably
been
the
no
neighbor's
good.
house.
And the neighbor's house. Yeah, all the shrapnel. So since this first seemingly unlikely event in 2012, when this guy self-reported, there wound up actually being 2 more similar incidents that were reported just like it.
Which is odd in and of itself, because this guy was a chemist and did all this self-diagnosis stuff.
Yeah.
And now you have Happy Joe Schmo and Mrs. Joe Schmo Shopper getting this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. So like it made the ATF much more curious, like how this was happening, right? So one of the 2 incidents that occurred since that 2012 incident involved an office setting. So what they found was there was an explosion that involved a copy toner cleaner container. And they went to go look at that container, and guess what was in it? 99% or higher IPA. Right, so pure IPA.
Oh, my goodness.
So what they did find out in that case was that the bottle itself of that toner cleaner was at least 10 years old and nearly empty. So it involved some evaporation and a lot of time, right? They didn't have enough residue to test to find out if it was conclusively TATP, but that's what was suspected. And in the second incident, like I said, there was 2 since 2012. The other one was an explosion that resulted from crystalline material that had been recovered from another bottle of IPA that was 99% pure or better. And what had happened was the solid crystal had fallen out of the container. They were dumping it out onto the ground outside, onto some rock gravel. Dumped it out. It was fine when it got dumped out, but then once it was out of the container, they left it. It dried overnight. Someone happened to be walking in the same area the next day, stepped on it, and it blew up. So luckily, the only damage that they took from stepping on that TATP was it blew the gravel off from underneath their foot, ricocheted off the wall, and hit him in the face. Almost seems like a prank, but still a little bit of injury in
I'm
that.
seeing a fail video in there somewhere.
For real, man. Wish that were on film.
Yeah, that could
Feel
have been
bad for
bad,
the
though.
person, but like, what are the odds?
Yeah.
So,
Something's starting to make me hear 99% IPA.
yeah.
Yet we use 100% IPA in a compressed aerosol can. So when that empties, what are we doing?
Right. So, the ATF,
Science
like
experiment.
experiment time. So the ATF, they circled back their wagons. They're looking at these 3 case studies. And they actually did some research, right? They hit the books, did some literature research, and found a chemistry reference that actually listed that IPA can be oxidized, so introduced to air, and form hydrogen peroxide. And when you do that, the side effect is you form hydrogen peroxide and acetone. So the IPA forms acetone and hydrogen peroxide. And that was actually something called the Shell process. And it was the old method for making hydrogen peroxide up until I think the 80s, maybe the 90s. And then they found better ways, more efficient ways of doing it. But that was an industrial process. And in that industrial process, they used high pressure, high amounts of oxygen, and heat to drive it, right? None of those things were in those 3 studies that the ATF had, right? So they had some guy with an IPA bottle and giant crystals, a toner, and 2 toner containers that had almost pure IPA in it, right? So
Except for maybe just the time that it took that bottle had been sitting on the shelf.
Yeah.
Or the toner that had been sitting on the shelf.
Yeah. So that actually wound up being a critical factor, right? So what they found out in their research, including the shell process, was that there are only 2 necessary ingredients to form the TATP crystals. Both of which is oxygen and isopropyl alcohol. So everything else is a matter of time, right? So if you add more pressure to it and more oxygen, you can increase the reaction rate. But chemically speaking, what the ATF chemists were able to come up with was, given a long enough amount of time, you can form TATP crystals in IPA, but the time frame goes from, on an industrial scale, we're talking like a day. But they found that in a residential or office setting, now we're talking decades of time. So, which wound up being the critical thing, right? So in all 3 case studies, those containers of IPA had sat for at least a decade.
Oh my gosh! So imagine how much time that stuff sits on the shelf.
I know, right? So just think about how anyone's house. How long has your IPA been sitting around, right? So.
Yeah, so when we're talking about IPA, again, we're talking about isopropyl alcohol,
right?
Not
rubbing
beer.
alcohol, not the delicious drinking variety of IPAs.
And those definitely don't sit around long enough in my house.
If you got an IPA that's been sitting around 10 years, you're doing something wrong, man.
Yeah.
So what they found out was a couple key things for this case study. For this one was that once again, exposure to oxygen. So the bottles had to have been open and closed. Some kind of evaporation was helpful in forming the crystals, and just time. And then after that, the formation of TATP was inevitable. It's just a time game. So, but once again, pretty interesting, right? It's one of those things where in that case study, definitely unexpected. And, definitely a couple things. I would not have taken any of that stuff to a melting point apparatus.
No.
Seems like that guy got very, very lucky. So, but what does that lead us to?
So, after 3 episodes of peroxide formers, I'm sure the audience doesn't want to hear about a call that we've had personal experience with.
Oh, but they do, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys... You know what? We're going to do it anyway.
Let's do it.
So, in our personal call that we had, during cleaning activities of a lab that had sat idle for 5 years, a colleague... Yes, we do have those in our facility, especially after some headcount cuts and restructuring.
That never happens in industry.
No. A colleague actually found a 1-liter bottle of THF with visible solids in the bottom of that bottle.
Shocker.
Yeah. Now, the colleague actually had the wherewithal to not move the bottle, believe it or not, as most people would go, "Ooh, what's this?"
Look at
that. Right.
But they actually just rotated it in place to be able to read that bottle and discover that it was THF, and at which time they saw those solids sitting in the bottom. Yeah. The colleague then reported that bottle as a hazardous bottle to our industrial fire department.
Yeah, and this was an unstabilized THF, if I remember right.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think, Randy, you may need to take the lead on the rest of this portion.
Yeah.
As you were a pivotal player, I guess, if you will, in this.
Yeah. So this was a giant pucker factor, right? Because with this golf ball sized chunk of solids and another chunk of solids in this bottle, right? The biggest concern was, what is the explosion potential for this amount of peroxide solids, right? And so we have some very bright people at our site as far as chemists go, but they are not explosive chemists. It took them a while to try and come up with an answer. Their best crude answer is, think a hand grenade, maybe more.
I might beg to differ. I've seen some nice explosive reactions that we have.
That's true, but that was not calculated out. Yeah, that was not an intentional thing. But so
you mentioned golf ball size. Don't we have some pictures of this?
Yeah, I think so.
Good call.
Oh, there we go. That's the money. So yeah, so what you can see in that 4 images, you have the bottle. You kind of the camera moves, so you can kind of start to see the solid in the bottom. And zoom up, you can see the solids in the bottom, and those are crystallized peroxide solids. Once again, I'd hazard a guess to say it's way over that 80 parts per million for explosion. But so, like I said, that was our big problem, right? So we had this bottle that we didn't want to move because it had explosive potential. And most fire departments aren't equipped to handle explosives, right? So not like this. So we were struggling with how to handle this bottle. One initial plan.
Our team is not designed to handle really, and that's what this is. It was an explosive. Our team isn't handled or designed to handle this either. So
right, yeah, right. It's almost you got to treat it like an IED, and we don't do that. It's not a fire department call. So we were trying to figure out how to handle it. I mean, we had come up with a plan initially to neutralize it, but out of abundance of safety, the plan was nixed. They didn't want us working on it. They wanted to bring in an outside entity to deal with it, someone who had more explosion experience. And so they shopped around a little bit, right? Being an industrial facility, we had the time and luxury to try and figure out who would be the best fit to help us. I mean, in the meantime, we had to cordon off that corner of the building, evacuate everybody.
Right. So let's not simplify that. It was not just the quarter of that building or that corner of the building. We evacuated, I think, 75% of the labs in that area.
Yes.
That building was, or that portion of the building was 3/4 emptied.
Let's not overstate. Even though we, as an industrial facility, do have some luxuries, with this butt pucker factor, I'm not sure we would consider time a luxury to decide that factor.
Well, I mean, we obviously pissed away 5 years.
As long as that was sitting
days
there. Yeah, but as long as that's sitting there, it's not. I mean, it's still kind of an unstable thing, but it's not going in there anywhere. It's still in a somewhat stable atmosphere within the liquid.
Right. I would agree, right? Because in all the case studies we read, there had to be some element of heat or dryness or grotesque motion, right? Some outside energy. And leaving it sit there, we're not introducing any energy. So the risk without moving it or perturbing it was pretty low. But like I said, we still were looking for someone to help us out, right? So, and so we considered a couple options, right? So I think one of the things we initially thought, okay, think about like an IED. Let's talk to the bomb squad.
Yes.
Right. So bomb squad, bomb stuff. Oh yeah, that's the way to go. What wound up happening when we talked to the bomb squad is like, we want access to your site. We want access to the building. We control the scene. We control everything. Us being an industrial facility.
Hey, Randy, I have to interject.
Please.
I believe there was a 50 cal option that was mentioned. That was nixed.
That was the fun option.
That was the one that we volunteered to be the executors.
Okay. So we're calling us out, but okay, but it was an option.
That would have been the fun way to go. But a 50 cal in a lab, I don't know, man. A little overkill. But still,
I would have been fine with it.
It would have been interesting to see.
I'm the first volunteer for that one.
Target practice would be phenomenal. It's like Tannerite.
Exactly.
Also fun.
Yeah, so like I said, we nixed the bomb squad idea because we didn't want to give up that level of control on our building, our scene, time frame, anything. We wanted to be part of the effort, execution, control. So we wanted to be part of it. We didn't want to be excluded. So we nixed the bomb squad. Next thing we did is we started looking for someone else who could handle it. Wound up going to outside industries, environmental contractors. We contracted, we talked to a couple that we have worked with in the past. I think this incident at this point in time was like early in the week. It was like a Monday. And the company that we first contacted couldn't get to us any sooner than Friday of the following week. So they wanted to wait almost like 2 weeks to handle this thing. Which, okay, that's one thing, but that, requires evacuating people for the better part of like 2 weeks, which wasn't ideal either. what we wound up doing is we wound up getting hold of a second environmental contracting company. And they just so happened, this is almost like kismet, man. They had a guy driving from one major metro city through. He literally was driving past our facility when we called, and he just made a hot stop at our facility because he's heading from one major metro city to another. And he stopped off, and this dude had a bomb trailer, and he had the bomb suit. And it could not have worked out better for us.
It was almost divine intervention.
For real. I couldn't believe it. Like all the cards fell correct for us. And so we had this guy come out, and he came out like same day that we called their company, and wound up, he came on with his, like I said, his vehicle, single vehicle pickup truck, bomb trailer connected to the back as a trailer. And he wound up coming in, dressed up correctly. We had our folks in with our fire truck, hoses, bunker gear, prepped in case things went wrong. But he wound up handling the bottle, put it in a transport box, which was a different pucker factor story for another time.
When he put that in the transport box, let's make this clear. He lifted that bottle up, turned it around, looked at it, almost did that. Oh, look at this.
Yeah.
And then put it in there.
Yeah. But then he put it in the box, and I was in the room with him, and it made my butthole pucker because he put it in the box, and you would just think you're going to put it in the corner of the box, shut the lid, and we walk out. He put it in the box, and he's shuffling around like it's like a shell game cup. I'm like, what are you doing? I'm like, what are you doing? So,
you gotta bring it back into solution.
Dude, you had no idea how sketchy that was. It made me very, very afraid. So very little makes me very, very afraid. That move and die ball. That's about it on my list.
But I was on the glass side, so I had the glass between us when this whole thing was going on. I'm seeing Randy going almost like, what in the world are you doing?
Right. Like, let me not be here right now. That's terrible. But, it all worked out because he wound up getting in the box, and he transported the box outside. We had him, line of sight the entire way, protective measures the entire way. We drove that bottle out to a remote area of our facility. By remote, I mean like dirt, dirt and grass, dirt and more dirt, in a low spot, so almost like a crater. And then he went to work neutralizing it, which was a thing of beauty. And he used one of the chemicals we talked about in part 2 of this 3-parter. I think he used ferric sulfate to neutralize the peroxide solids.
I wanted to see a boom.
I know. That would have been pretty sweet. Did. But wound up working like a charm. But once again, this was a very unusual call because it wound up being chemical IED. So.
Yeah. So that was our call.
Yeah.
Share your thoughts, experiences, wow. Share your thoughts, experiences, and requests for future episodes.
And where can they share that with us at, Jeff?
See if I can spit it out. hazmatharder@gmail.com.
Right. I think we got something special planned for the next episode, don't we, fellas?
So, yes, we will actually be talking about long-term exposure to sensitizing chemicals.
Yes,
we might be doing this in a very interesting way.
Uh-huh. Right. We might rope in a guest on this one. So stay tuned. It'll be worth your time.
Absolutely.
It'll be interesting.
It'll be a comedy at the very least.
Agreed.
More so than tonight.
Absolutely. And we will also be doing this remotely for those who are unaware. So we might have something else that we will be bringing in.
Huh. Oh. More to come. Thanks all.
But
thanks all. Have a great night.
Until next time, Hazmat
Harder.